25% number, and the only reason I show you this graph is to remind you that although we've been talking about it for about well over 20 years, if you look at the attainment of the 30 minutes per day, the yellow line there, those who get it at least 5 days a week, it's essentially flat. It is essentially flat. So, I'm back to my question about population level attainment. How are we doing at the population level as far as shifting that curve upward, getting more than 1 in 4 adults? We're doing crummy, is the answer. No effect. This shaped curve, this is what I call the stickiness problem. Not all that hard to get some behavior change. Really hard to get it to stick. Because that's what you'd want, right? Those lines going out at least that. So, let me amplify each of these. What we know is, the first one there, land use, compact neighborhoods, and adjacency of shopping and things like that, different things like schools and post offices and so on, are going to see more, just statistically, if you look at the averages, more routine physical activity, walk and bike and transit trips, than those that aren't built that way. And here's the good news. The bulk of Fall River, this is fundamentally how decisions are taking unused parcels in urban environments and turning them into community gardens, which is, by the way, this is Attleboro. This is not just Boulder, Colorado, or Portland, Oregon, those sort of crunchy granola places. Attleboro has a really nice community garden a stone's throw from one of their elementary schools. Or farmers markets in neighborhoods, and you guys have done some work on that. There are other ways that you can think about your land use decisions and making space available for good decisions, not just physical activity, but multi-use trails. And I mention that because you'll notice it's not a particularly glamorous picture. Does that look remotely familiar? Space underneath an elevated expressway? You don't have any of those around, do you? And God, they throttle your downtown, where I live. These are the 4 questions I ask about the stickiness of every application that comes before my planning commission, whether it's a new retail development, commercial, residential, mixed, whatever it is. I ask, are we creating a variety of different kinds of destinations within active travel distance? Are those destinations well connected with things like sidewalks and trails and safe street crossings? Is it inviting to be physically active there for the bicyclist, the pedestrian, the transit user, and is it safe and accessible? I love the walking routes. I'd love to go to the next level and have not just sort of there's a fitness walk that you can do. Where are the functional walks? Here's where an automatic teller machine is, so the next version of the maps put actual functional destinations. Restaurant, cafe, shopping, dry cleaner. Now, if those things don't exist in the downtown, we can talk about sort of what are the incentives to that. But indeed, there are some functional destinations. So let's help people find a way to make the walk, not just carving the time out to go do my exercise, but building functional activity into my day. Does everybody see the subtle distinction there? This is a really important lesson for Fall River, I think, as I look at your infrastructure. Some of the stuff you do may not be glamorous, fancy, 20-mile trail in the middle of nowhere. The quarter-mile connector could be the most important thing you do. Say from your waterfront park, a destination, both a recreational and visitor destination, but a fairly active area, and you're downtown. They are a stone's throw apart. They might as well be opposite sides of the planet for how inviting it is to move to and from the waterfront, from right where we're standing right now. Let me just say, the innovative thinking says, before you say yes to a multi-million-dollar parking structure, what could you do with a half of those multi-million? So rather than a $4 million parking structure, if over the next decade I invested $2 million, not 4, but 2, half of it, a fraction, $1 million, in all the alternatives, carpools, vans, ride-to-work programs, bike parking, a bike fleet, sort of who knows what else one might do, could you alleviate the demand for those parking spaces? Building a transportation system that doesn't depend on you owning an automobile is a transportation system that is fair to all ends of the economic spectrum. Does everybody agree?